And South Korea's special prosecutor has requested a 10-year prison sentence for former President Yoon Suk Yeol on obstruction of justice charges related to his declaration of martial law in December of 2024. The request was made during the closing hearing of his trial. Yoon is accused of preventing a proper cabinet review of the martial law decree and later using the Presidential Security Service to block investigators from executing an arrest warrant. The ousted leader, who was impeached and removed from office in April, has denied all charges. Meanwhile, he is being held in a correctional facility and a verdict is expected by January the 16th. Joining us once again is Dr. Chadha to discuss the ongoing situation in South Korea. What exactly constitutes an obstruction of justice in this trial? And how unusual is it in South Korea's legal history for a former president to face a 10-year sentence?
Well, I mean, let's remember that President Yoon or ex-President Yoon had already, built sort of a different niche for himself in a negative sense politically, because he had suspended civilian rule in South Korea. And we're talking like about a year ago in December 2024. And that had led to massive protests, massive showdowns in their own parliament. The fact that, the Constitutional Court slapped on him multiple trials for actions linked to this martial law declaration that he had made overnight. So the prosecutors currently in South Korea are seeking, a 10-year prison sentence for ex-president, precisely because they feel that he has not only, deliberately excluded cabinet members from martial law meetings. He's trying to block any investigations. He's also trying to block out people who are part of this investigations. And, just to add to the worries, his decision to declare martial law, he tried to justify those by, saying that, it was a fight against pro-China or pro-North Korea or treason-related activities, so on and so forth. I mean, in South Korean history, this was, first of its kind of case wherein a president or somebody in that position of power was actively seeking obstruction of justice. So, given that, given that, and as part of their law, it is justified for the prosecutors to seek a decade-long sentence. However, this is not all. I mean, if he's found to be, guilty in all of the other trials that he's undergoing currently, the sentence could either be increased or there could be harsher punishments for him. But what on a positive note, what this does show is that even though South Korea had suffered this very, let's say, negative phase for its democracy in the past 1 year, at least its institutions are strong enough and are capable of holding even the people in power accountable. So that is, that I would see as a very, very positive, outcome coming out of this legal order.
Indeed, and of course, Dr. Chadha, this happened just over a year ago now, of December the 3rd of 2024. The martial law declaration lasted about 6 hours. Was there any real justification for the martial law that was imposed, or was it purely a cling to power? Of course, Yoon denies that latter one.
I mean, if President Yoon can be listened to even partially seriously, like I mentioned, he was stating that he was fighting, forces that were anti-South Korea, included names of people or political parties pro-China or pro-North Korea, and he justified those. But, the fact remains that all of his actions so far have been either trying to consolidate his own power or power for himself and people close to him, or in some way making sure that, once it was out, once people protested, people resisted, not just to him declaring the martial law, but also the fact that he had asked the military to go against civilians and make sure that that martial law could be enforced. The fact that even the defense forces in South Korea did not seem to be in agreement with the ex-president's decision overnight. It clearly shows that one cannot really trust ex-president on his word when he says that he was trying to defend his country in some way. I mean, those were clearly very one-sided, very deliberate actions that he had made in order to consolidate power, in order to kind of bring about this overhaul suddenly overnight in South Korea, which fortunately for South Koreans, they resisted. And fortunately for South Korean institutions, they are continuing to resist that even now and hold him accountable for his actions.
Dr. Chadha, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us here on NewsX World.